Apple quietly introduced the new M5 chip in the 14-inch MacBook Pro. No big Apple event, no flashy launch video, just a simple press release on their website. And at first glance, you'd swear that nothing's changed. Same chassis, same ports, same space black finish, which this is my first time using a space black model MacBook, and silver is just so much better. There's really no question about it. But the real story isn't on the outside, it's under the hood. The M5 chip completely transforms what the base MacBook Pro can handle. Tasks that would have pushed last year's models to their limits, like editing video, running real-time AI, or even gaming, feel even more refined and polished than ever. It's not Apple's most powerful chip, and it might not make all the headlines, but for anyone looking for serious performance at a reasonable price, this laptop is a pretty big win. So let's dive in and see what's actually new with the M5 14-inch MacBook Pro. All right, let's talk performance, because this year's MacBook Pro is all about what's happening under the hood. The new M5 chip is built on Apple's latest 3nm process, and while the outside looks the exact same, what's inside is on another level. It's not just faster, it's smarter and a lot more efficient. The CPU gets a solid bump in both single core and multi-core performance, so compiling code, exporting projects, or working with huge files all feels noticeably quicker. But the real story here is in the GPU, where Apple's added a neural accelerator to every single GPU core, a first for them, and it makes a huge difference for AI-driven tasks. So things like on-device image generation, local transcription, or real-time upscaling now run far smoother and way faster than ever before. Memory bandwidth jumps to 153 gigabytes per second, and the internal SSD now uses PCIe 4, nearly doubling the read and write speeds. That just means faster load times, quicker caching, and far less waiting around when it comes to creative workflows. This configuration, the base 14-inch MacBook Pro with 16 gigabytes of unified memory and a 512 gigabyte SSD, has been my main machine for a little while now, and for everyday tasks like web browsing, document work, or light editing, it feels very similar to last year's model. But when I push it a little bit further, like working in Canva and Safari, or removing backgrounds, using AI tools, handling 4K video with graphics, and exporting high quality PNGs, JPEGs, or even video, everything is lightning fast and just completely seamless. But once you get into more creative workflows, that's where the M5 really starts to shine. Photometer is buttery smooth, graphic design apps are fast, and even 4K video editing is like pretty effortless. When I start pushing higher bit rates though, that's when the limits start to show. Like you'll see drop frames and a bit of lag once you stack heavier effects or film simulations on top of your footage. Now, that's not to say it struggles. It's seriously a capable base model, but it does make me a little cautious when it comes to the memory. Like with 16 gigs, I had to be a little more like intentional about what's open, especially with like power hungry apps. And if you're doing like larger projects, bumping up the RAM is definitely worth it. In Final Cut Pro, it's excellent. Timelines are responsive, playback is smooth, and it stays quick even when I'm connected to my 4K 240Hz monitor. My recent iPadOS video exported in about 60 minutes on the M5 compared to 31 minutes on the M4 Air and just under 6 minutes on the M2 Ultra. So yeah, it's a pretty big jump from the M4 Air, but it's still not a top tier performer. In GPU heavy apps like Blender, the difference is even more noticeable. Render times sit between those two models thanks to the improved ray tracing support, and that carries over to gaming too. So for years, Macs weren't taken seriously for gaming, but with Apple Silicon, things have really started to change. The M5's GPU builds on what started with the M3, and now hardware accelerated ray tracing is faster than ever, while frame rates across the board are up. Apple claims up to 60% faster frame rates compared to the M4, and honestly that does feel about right. With Metal FX upscaling, games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Resident Evil can finally run smoothly at 1080p 60 even on a base model chip. And beyond the numbers, this chip really marks a shift towards the AI first era with those new neural accelerators, meaning apps that use local AI like LM Studios or Draw Things feel instant compared to older series of M chips. I've been running DeepSync R1 as well as GPT OSS 20B, and both have been giving me pretty quick results when it comes to like spell checking my scripts or reviewing PDF documents or even editing code or creating code. Creating new photos with Draw Things have been pretty snappy with being able to tap into the deep processing for even better results. One of the biggest upgrades that I've noticed personally is in transcription. I use AI to transcribe my voice notes and videos, and on the M5, it just flies. Not quite as fast as my M2 Ultra, but leagues ahead of the M4 Air, but clearly having more neural engine cores still makes a difference. The only real downside, thermals. This thing runs hotter than I expected, even warmer than my fanless M4 Air, and that single fan ramps up pretty quick under load. It's not loud, but it's definitely working hard. Still under light to medium workflows, it stays cool and whisper quiet though. So while it might not be a massive year-over-year leap, the M5 MacBook Pro feels like the start of something new. It's not just about raw performance anymore, it's about intelligence, efficiency, and being ready for that AI-powered workflows that we're heading into. All right, before we get back into the MacBook, I've got to tell you something that's completely changed how I protect my Mac, and that's Moonlock. A lot of people assume that Macs are safe by default, but no alerts doesn't always mean no malware. Moonlock is a Mac antivirus that actually feels like it belongs on your Mac. It's lightweight, fast, and intuitive. It doesn't just remove threats silently. Moonlock tells you what it found, why it's dangerous, and what to do next, so you're always in control. It runs background scans on files, apps, and mail attachments without interrupting you. And it's a lot more than just malware protection. Moonlock comes with a VPN for secure browsing, a network inspector to block risky connections, and a security advisor for simple steps to keep you safer online. Plus, it's supercharged with AI, catching new malware faster than ever before. Built by the same team behind Clean My Mac X, Moonlock has a clean, simple interface with powerful features under the hood. You can schedule scans, check system settings, and quarantine suspicious files, all within just a few clicks. You can try Moonlock for free for 7 days, and there's also a little holiday special with a 30% discount on any plan from November 28th to December 1st. So make sure to check the links in the description, and huge thanks to Moonlock for sponsoring this video. Storage has also received a pretty significant upgrade. The SSD is now faster, so copying massive project files, scrubbing through 4K timelines, or opening large photo libraries is noticeably quicker. Exports finish faster, apps launch instantly, and the system feels snappier even under heavier workloads. Capacity has improved too. For the first time, the base 14-inch MacBook Pro can be configured with up to 4 terabytes of storage, double the previous limit. That extra space is great for creators working with larger libraries or multiple client projects, but if you don't want to invest in that like crazy internal upgrade storage pricing tier that Apple has, Thunderbolt external drives remain an excellent option. Personally, I prefer editing directly off of external Thunderbolt SSDs as it just allows me to move projects between Macs effortlessly while still keeping my workflow fast and flexible. At a glance, the M5 MacBook Pro looks almost identical to last year's model. That's kind of because it is last year's model. It's got the same chassis, same weight, same space black finish, and that's probably why Apple didn't even bother to hold an event for it. But on the outside, the essentials are still here. We got MagSafe charging, dual Thunderbolt 4 ports, a 3.5mm headphone jack, an SD card reader, and another Thunderbolt 4 Type-C port, and an HDMI port. Everything feels familiar, just like the past couple generations. Even the keyboard, speakers, webcam haven't changed. Where the MacBook Pro really continues to stand out though is with its display. Apple's Liquid Retina XDR panel remains one of the best on any laptop with up to 1600 nits of peak brightness for HDR work, stunning color accuracy, and ProMotion 120Hz for silky smooth scrolling and animations. If you happen to be upgrading from an Intel or M1 MacBook Pro, you'll actually notice more than just the performance improvements, as the speakers, the microphones, and keyboard feel a lot better than M1. It's almost like skipping an entire decade of a MacBook evolution. That said, some things are still a bit underwhelming. There's no Wi-Fi 7, and Thunderbolt 5 hasn't made its way over here either. It's probably likely because Apple's going to save that for like the Pro and the Max chips, and the absence of Wi-Fi 7 probably comes down to Apple not including their newer connectivity chip, the N1, which handles Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and Thread. Hopefully, when the M5 Pro and Max versions do arrive, they'll bring that full suite of upgrades, including faster wireless connectivity. Just add cellular connectivity, put that C1X modem in the MacBook Pros. It's the one thing I think everyone's been waiting for. We all want it. Just give us cellular options for the MacBooks. Honestly, what excites me most about this MacBook Pro isn't just the M5 chip itself, it's what's to come next. The M5 Pro, the M5 Max, and fingers crossed the M5 Ultra down the line. But if you're wondering whether this M5 MacBook Pro is the one to buy right now, that answer It really depends. I feel like for a lot of people, it might not be. This price is steep and there are just smarter choices depending on your needs. The MacBook Air with the M4 chip is still an incredible everyday laptop. It's slim, it's silent, and it's still pretty fast. And if you want a real pro level power, the Apple refurbished store still has M4 Pro models with better RAM and storage options for the same price as this M5 MacBook Pro. Personally, I love the Air, but for this kind of workflow, I do reach for the iPad Pro, which I will be reviewing soon. I do have the M5 iPad Pro, but I get why this M5 MacBook Pro exists. It's for people who want that pro experience, like that gorgeous mini LED display, those incredible speakers, and a few extra ports without paying for that full M4 Pro tier. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a very capable laptop, and if your workflow leans on the lighter side of things like web and photo edits and light video work, and if you just want that like elevated hardware experience over the Air, it's a great pick. But at $15.99 USD and around $2,000 Canadian, I honestly think there's just a better value either stepping up to the M4 Pro for like extra power or down to the MacBook Air for the efficiency. If you're buying a new MacBook, my advice still stays the same. Choose your chip first, then spend all your money on the RAM upgrades. macOS still loves to use as much RAM as you can give it, even for day-to-day stuff. And if you need more storage, grab a Thunderbolt SSD. They're fast, they're portable, and way more cost efficient. Now I'm curious, which of these three MacBooks would you pick if you had to choose? And between the M4 Air and the M4 Pro, which comparison would you rather see next against the M5? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a like and share it to a friend. And if you like Apple tech or desk setup related content, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.